25 of it should be financing from elsewhere. This is what we call deficit financing. Let's say the government uses printing currency for to finance its deficit. This means now the government has $50, that comes from the tax revenue, one by printing the money. So he will spend all of these $50, which means primarily the market have $25 in the country. However, when the government injects this $50 in the country, the total amount of dollars in the market goes from the total was from the start it was 100, but after the currency is printed and expenditures are made, the total amount of money in the market will become 125, because 25 of it are taken and 75 of it are left in the market, and the government prints additional money on this $25 and invests it in the market. The total amount of money in the market will become 125. This will elevate the total amount of currency in the market from 100, which are initially present, to 125. 25 came in the form of printing the money. This will dilute the purchasing power of the money, because there will not be sufficient enough demand when the market has $100 and when the market has $125. This represents the money is in the hands of individuals. There is too much money present in the hands of individuals, which creates a higher demand that increases inflation. However, when the money is in the hands of individuals, this means individuals might tend to create job opportunities for others because they have the money. When they create job opportunities for others, employment will spike. And when a job opportunity is created for most of the individuals in the country, and individuals are earning income, however the incomes they get is highly affected by the inflation, or the money they get from their employers might not be sufficient enough to cover the inflation. We have said that this is directly implemented by the government. However, there is something called the government policy is a monetary policy. A monetary policy is not directly made by the government, but the agent of the government, which is called a central bank, will apply this monetary. It's all about controlling the money supply in the market, which affects the inflation and the employment. We have talked one of the monetary policies that is increasing or decreasing interest rates. We have seen how much interest rates affect the money supply in the market. I'll put the link in the description, or you might find the video here that talks about how inflation rates affect the employment and employment opportunities and inflation. So inflation is set by a central bank. A central bank is called a banker of banks. So this bank has a power to set interest rates. For example, he might make a rule. He might set a rule saying that the interest rates or bank borrowing rate should not exceed 20% and should not be lower than 18%. This means all of these banks cannot pay an interest which is lower than 18%, and they cannot pay an interest which is more than 20%. For example, this bank cannot pay 21% of interest for its customers that made a deposit in the bank, because this can highly affect the inflation and employment opportunities in the country. Probably it might not highly affect employment opportunities, however, it will affect highly the inflation rate. As long as it affects the inflation rate, it's better to make a rule or to implement a rule that affects the inflation rate in the country. Also, about the bank lending rate, the central bank might decide a bank lending rate from 25 to 27. This means an individual who borrowed from the bank has the right not to pay more than 27%. For example, if I borrow from the money from one of these banks, let's say this bank, and if it charges me 28%, I have a right to say no. And it's not possible for the bank to charge me 24%, because the minimum amount of interest rate the bank lending rate is set by the central bank from 25 to 27%. Manipulating interest rate is one of the monetary policy. However, there are a lot others.